Cartographers watching generals stabbing a map that took years to make just to make a point. This would definitely be me. Do you even realize the blood, sweat, and tears that went into making this map?
You know how much I sacrificed?
For anyone that doesn't know, a cartographer is someone who makes or draws maps. And cartography back in the day was a whole lot harder. I mean, first of all, we didn't have like satellite technology. But second of all, bro, we didn't even know what the world looked like. Have you seen some of those early drawings of world maps? We basically had no idea what the hell was going on out there. Historically speaking, it was insanely difficult to do this job. Not only did you need to be able to do science, astrology, math, you also needed to be an artist. You need to make the map beautiful. I mean, maybe not beautiful, but at the very least readable. But as you can see, a lot of maps back in the day, they all had some sort of artistic interpretation. Like everyone forgets about these borders here. Of course, you gotta draw sea monsters in the middle of the ocean for whatever reason. That's like a requirement. So if I dedicated 5 to 10 years of my life's work on one single piece of paper and you stab it, bro, I'm gonna crash out. You stab my map, general, and I'm gonna stab you. Probably in the eyeballs. How dare you? Now, luckily, we don't know exactly how many generals were stabbing maps in the battle room. However, were they probably accidentally damaged at times? Oh yeah. At least in World War II, there had to have been at least like one coffee stain left on a map. And yes, that would induce this exact reaction from me still. Even the original poster of this meme admits it's probably done up more in the movies than in reality, but it's still something to think about. Alexander carving a line on the map. Sir, that's an island. Alexander, not when I'm done. Okay, to be honest, this is a great example. Maybe this is the one time a general can mess with my map. If you actually plan to build an 800-meter dam just so you could destroy this island, I mean, in that case, go ahead, draw whatever you want. Did you frickers know of this new invention called using your finger to point at something that you wish to highlight? I know it's crazy. Don't touch it though, just point, because I don't want your grimy, some of y'all generals don't be washing your hands. Look at how Cheetos went around in 300 BC. Stabs map, bring in another map. Sire, that map took months of work to make. Stabs cartographer, bring in another cartographer. If you're a good enough general, the map will be obsolete in a few months anyways. This is making me think of the poor souls that had to map out the Holy Roman Empire. Those dudes probably had to roll out a DLC update literally every single hour. Why else do you think when you Google Holy Roman Empire map, there's really only a few pretty good ones? It's literally just because nobody is psycho enough to want to do this accurately. Bro, some of you guys probably need to put on some sort of FBI list. Like, I know you're not actually sane enough to want to do this on your free time. I would think the cartographers would want to be happy with that because then they can sell the generals a new map. Nah, the real money is in map repair and maintenance. This whole discussion reminds me of this video.
If my calculations are correct, the treasure must be right here.
Bro.
That was our only map.
I know that.
You've stayed up all night drawing it.
I was just trying to set the mood.
You don't have to do that, Robert.
Throw him off the ship. Also, don't forget the scratch in our table. Literally, this has been an idea explored for a while now, since that video is from 9 years ago. Looking at maps online is fun, but man, would I throw myself off the nearest bridge if I had to go back in time and become a cartographer. The first Polish language dictionary was published in 1746, and it included such definitions as horses. Everyone knows what a horse is. I mean, where's the lie? I mean, maybe we should be putting more of a definition there just in case the aliens want to read about us like thousands of years into the future. But honestly, Poland, yeah, work smarter, not harder. Meanwhile, archaeologists 20,000 years after horses go extinct, yeah, like I said, they're going to be really confused. That comment is one of the most accurate things in studying history. I can feel the pain already. Sometimes when I'm high, I like to imagine arguments in the far future about what kind of milk or eggs were our recipes. I hope the main opposing factions will be divided over whether the milk was from dogs or cats, because what other mammals were in the vast majority of households back then? Remember, there are a lot of different animals that produce milk. In fact, we do as well. Well, I do not. Yet. But yeah, whether it's future humans, future aliens, or just like cyborgs trying to understand us when we all go extinct, how are they gonna know where the milk was coming from? We shouldn't be drinking milk in the first place. Like, we're apparently not supposed to be drinking milk from other animals. That's generally what I've heard from a lot of different people, a lot of sources. And while we're on that thought, why chicken eggs? There are so many other things that make eggs. In fact, even humans have eggs. People forget that. I forget that. Like, yeah, tons of birds have eggs, but have you seen all the animals that aren't even birds but also have eggs? Crocodiles and alligators? Snake eggs literally look like the eggs that we eat. Yeah, definitely don't even get me started on spider eggs. Well, that's right, there's fish eggs as well. Man, there's so many different types of eggs. Clearly, Poland back in 1746 wasn't thinking this way, but I don't know, I still respect this definition. I like it. Also, Webster's Dictionary in 1828, the domestic cat needs no description in the cat entry. It's not required, but it's nice to have. I am curious, like how would you define a cat? It's gotta be fun. This apparently might be a myth. I really hope it's not though. Pigeon eggs and rat milk were a staple of the 21st century city dwellers. Encyclopedia Britannica 3,000 years from now. I mean, the truth is there are probably some aspects of history we got this wrong and we don't even know it. We don't know all the crazy details of like an event that took place 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, 2,000 years ago. I'm thinking there's got to be at least something in mainstream history that is this wrong, like saying that humans ate pigeon eggs and rat milk. It's terrifying to think about, but a lot of historical events, we really only have one source, and that source is not all that trustworthy. Man, that freaks me out. Does that freak anybody else out? Can't imagine how many things we just have straight up wrong. Is this where we mentioned that the Egyptians traded with punt and assumed punt was common knowledge, and now no one knows what the frick punt is? This goes to show no matter how much you think something might be common knowledge, it's actually probably not. We still don't even know how they did Greek fire back in the day. I don't know about you, but I would really like to know how these old human beings figured out how to make a flamethrower out in the ocean. Clean air, clean water, organic food, and lots of outdoor activities still only live to the age of 33. And this meme was specifically posted bashing on the paleo diet. Well, maybe it's not specifically about the paleo diet, but that is an aspect of this conversation. Or in other words, the caveman diet. You're essentially trying to make yourself only eat foods that the cavemen were eating back in the day. I mean, the first thing my mind comes to is a lot of those foods weren't even cooking their food. I wouldn't recommend not cooking your food. But then again, I do be liking sushi, so this is really hard for me to be honest because I do use this argument way too often in my personal life. Like I be saying way too often, yo, the human beings back in the day, they weren't taking a Tylenol when they got a headache. However, I find myself more and more being like, you know what, just give me the medicine, stop this pain. It's a really hard balance because I do think that that's kind of a good way to live your life sometimes. I mean, I don't think the paleo diet is necessarily that bad. I mean, it's definitely better than just eating a bunch of this junk food, that's for sure. But this is something to keep in mind. Those outdoor activities consisted of getting gored by woolly rhinoceros or mauled by saber-toothed tigers. Most of the food in the paleo diet didn't even freaking exist back then. That is a funny point. Grog cut hand on rock, why Grog died now. This is always a really good point when it comes to life expectancy. Infant mortality is the thing that really destroys it, really brings those numbers way further down. Average life expectancy is my least favorite historical myth. That's a misconception. While that technically was the average life expectancy, high infant mortality highly skewed things. If you survived your childhood, which most didn't, chances are you'd live to your 50. And have you seen how many fit 50-year-olds? You could still be out there hunting those saber-toothed tigers at that age if you're really like, well, probably getting a lot of exercise, eating healthy. Bro, I just ran a Spartan race for the first time. There are people way older than me killing me out there. Don't think that just because someone is 50 or even 60 doesn't mean they can't go out there and survive in the wild. It's the kids that can, actually. The wolf truce on the Eastern Front. Wolf packs are getting out of control. Want to hold a truce and hunt them down? Germans and Russians coming together to defeat, well, I guess man's best friend. That's how bad World War I got, not just for humans. There was even wolf wars going on. Unfortunately, wolf population has gone down in the modern times, but back over 100 years ago, especially out here in the Eastern Front where the Germans and Russians were fighting, there is a ton, and there still is a ton. And that dark green shows their permanent location. Other stuff is just occasional or single observation, well, just one-sided. It's crazy it got so bad that these two opposing sides had to work together to defeat a different species. And something that I'm keeping in mind is this was in 1917. This wasn't like the Christmas truce in World War I. The Christmas truce was only a couple months after World War I even began, whereas the wolf truce, they'd been fighting for years. There was a whole lot of bad blood on both sides, yet the Germans and Russians put aside their differences because this is how bad the problem got. You know what's insane about this is still happening to this day with the invasion of Ukraine. There are a ton of reports saying dogs/wolves, well, they are, how do I put this in a not super dark way, even though it is, they're eating anything they can to survive, even humans. It's like the Christmas truce of 1914, but a lot less wholesome. What a great game idea. Didn't think about that. Just like the Emu War. This is something I've read about this whole thing. It might just be a myth. It might have never happened, which is I think why this story doesn't come up that often, because we're not 100%. In 1925, in his first known courtship of a woman, Montgomery, at that point he was in his late 30s, proposed to a 17-year-old named Betty. His approach included drawing diagrams in the sand of how he would deploy his tanks and infantry in a future war, a contingency that seemed very remote back in those days. He respected his single-mindedness and ambition, but rejected the proposal. My God. this was 100 years ago, bro. This really puts things into perspective. Like, if I read someone did this yesterday, yeah, that sounds about right. But 1925? Well, maybe not the 38-year-old hitting on a 17-year-old, but a dude trying to flirt with someone by drawing lines in the sand and battle plans. It's like me trying to get a girl by showing her my latest Hoi 4 save, which might not be too bad of an idea. We'll have to try that. I have so much to say about this. I don't even know where to begin. I don't think I can even begin. New, he's literally me history moment. Don't do that. You don't want to do that. This is the old times equivalent of sending a screenshot of your Hoi 4 playthrough to a Discord e-girl. His name was Bernard Montgomery. Oh, that's right. His nickname Monty. Woo, man. I don't even know where to begin. Well, I hope he eventually found a wife, maybe. Say what you want about him, but man, was he locked in. Even when he was talking to the Huz, he was still thinking about the battlefield. And with these twoops here, it would be no trouble at all, you see. Riz him up with the Tism boys. He's just like me for... Don't. He would have loved Paradox games, yes, that is for sure. Monarchs in the modern era be like, okay, so you gotta call yourself German Emperor instead of the Emperor of Germany. Saxony and Bavaria will get off our case if you do, because they don't want to feel like they're losing their status as king once become Emperor of the unified Germany. Holy crap, how long has this man gotta go on for? Meanwhile, monarchs in the ancient era, I'm the king of the universe. Meanwhile, they just conquered 2 different small towns. And there's actually another meme that was just recently discussing this also on this history subreddit. It says, Bronze Age MFers preparing to crown themselves Supreme God Emperor of the known universe after taking over 2 small towns on the Euphrates. The thing is, though, it was basically the universe to these humans at the time. Especially considering, I mean, this was almost one of the only places on Earth that even had civilization. I mean, there were other humans around, but this is some of the oldest human beings that were like farming. We're talking ancient Mesopotamia in the year 4000 BC. This was the known universe to them. There was nothing else, so I don't even really blame these old ancient era kings. They essentially were the most powerful human beings at that time. As far as you're concerned, you're the first king and the only king of the only civilization on Earth, and well, that would make you the most powerful, probably basically king of the universe. Now, this is a very interesting note. This is Bismarck of Germany. I kind of get his reasoning here. You gotta call yourself the German Emperor instead of the Emperor of Germany. Germany was a lot bigger than just this at the time. I mean, even today, the German ethnicity as well as the German language extends a lot further than just the nation of Germany. You do gotta be careful with the wording. I get it, but it is kind of funny. To be fair to Sargon the Great, he fought and won 34 battles, reigned undefeated, and was the first ruler that we know to have united Mesopotamia, so making the title of King of the Universe is not entirely unwarranted. King of Prussia, German Emperor, Emperor of the French, utter woke nonsense. Politically correct speech has actually been going on for a lot longer than you might expect. It's actually not that hard to go back in time and just see different examples of it. I can see why you'd also just want to be careful with your naming. If you're not careful, you might find yourself in like a Casus Belli war against millions of just really upset people. Joy Boy Constitutional Monarchy versus Chad Absolute, even Divine Monarchy. I like this way to go about it though. Just calling yourself the German Emperor could just mean you're an emperor that happens to also be German. You are not the Emperor of the Germans. That's a crazy statement to say. English is weird. Like, you flip around those 2 words and it means kind of a whole nother thing. Obviously, they were probably speaking in German, but languages are weird. And big ol' thanks to my April patrons. I time traveled back in 2025 to stop Drew from taking over the world. We only have 2 years left. Drew's Argentinian Trust Fund, Rip Grandpa. Alexander the Terrible. Carmel S. Connor Pavlik. DOOCHBAGGINS. Fredrik Tibblin. KingBearHaze. KirinoIsBestGirl. The Go. Nolan. NordTyrol. And Tambre.